This is a $4,000 cognac, and sitting next to it is a $7,000 cognac. Today we're going to be trying these two of the nicest luxury cognacs in the entire world and comparing them against two bourbons that are 10 to 20 times cheaper to see if the bourbons can really hold up at a much cheaper price point. Let's get right into it here. So this is Louis XIII. Louis XIII is the finest cognac out of the Remy Martin distillery, which is one of the big four of the French cognacs, and these guys have been making Louis XIII since the early 20th century. It's a blend of between 40 and 100-year-old Eau d'Avie, which is very fine brandy, and it's very good, it's very renowned, and it is known for this really cool bottle shape here. It's kind of a circular bottle shape, and then sitting next to it is Richard Hennessy. Richard Hennessy is the finest luxury cognac out of the Hennessy brand, well known for the Hennessy's, the LeBron James Hennessy that was released recently, and all of this. This is their $7,000 offering. The bottle looks like this. It's absolutely gorgeous, and today we're going to be trying a variation from the 1990s, and so this is going to be a lot of fun here. Then we're going to compare it with some Eagle Rare 10, a very cheap alternative. This is $40–50, a bourbon that is 90 proof and usually a pretty decent bourbon for most people. And then we're going to be trying it against a much finer bourbon. This is Michter's 10 bourbon. These are two of my favorite offerings at a lower proof point here. When I wanted to compare these cognacs, I wanted to be the most fair that I could be. And on the shelf here, we have a lot of cask strength whiskey that's 130, 140 proof. But today we're going to compare these 80 proofs against these 90 proof bourbons, which is pretty close and will hopefully give us a pretty good idea here. But let's get right into drinking some Louis XIII. So this is my bottle of Louis XIII. This is actually a bottle from the 1980s. And so if you look at the color on this, compared to a modern day Louis XIII, I'll put the two photos on your screen just to watch the comparison here. It is night and day. This is much richer, much darker in color, and rumor has it it's just a significantly better spirit. So this isn't the modern day Louis XIII, this is an older version, and for some reason auction sites that sell Louis XIII from the 70s and 80s are significantly cheaper than the current MSRP, because that current MSRP has really surged up. It's about $4,000 right now. But if you try to get off of an auction site like Louis XIII from the 70s or 80s, you may only end up paying closer to $1,500 or $2,500, which is about half the price, still very expensive for a bottle of liquor, but a lot better than the modern day stuff for much better juice. Let's see. On the nose here, I mean, that is incredible. Really, really rich and fruity. And I will say, when I first opened this bottle, I was primarily getting like a really deep maraschino cherry candy. But as this has opened up more, I'm actually getting a little bit more of the figs and dates, like the really rich fruity notes on it. There is some nice spice in there as well, which is really pleasant. Wow, I mean, just the decadence of that fruit. I mean, this is real complex. Wow, rich caramel on it, some vanilla on it, some oak on this. Definitely not smelling like a 40 to 100-year-old spirit, which means that there's some liquor in here that was actually first distilled in the 19th century, which is just absolutely insane to think about. Let's take a sip. On the palate, it's much lighter. You do get that really nice, pleasant fig jam on it. You do get this nice raspberry on it. And you do get some of that real deep, rich cherry candy as well. And you get the oak and you get the spice, but it's light. It drinks 80 proof, and it's definitely not as much of a flavor bomb as one would hope given that price point. It's really nice. And the bottle, like I said, the bottle's just absolutely gorgeous here. I think once this finishes, I may even buy another one just so I can have it around. I've done some serious damage to this bottle. This has only been opened for about 2 weeks. I've just been sending a lot of samples to friends and all because I love sharing this thing around. It's super cool. It's quite the conversation starter. Now, Louis XIII has a special place in my heart because when I was first getting into whiskey, beforehand, I was actually very into mixology for about 3 years. And when I was into mixology, I remember I would spend some days just looking really deep into all these fine spirits. And I had a buddy of mine once that I asked him a question that I'll always remember, which is I asked him, how far does this rabbit hole go? Because I was getting to the point in college where I was just spending time in lectures, just looking through like Total Wine Scotch offerings, which is not the most typical thing of a college student. And I was just learning about all these different like Glenlivet and all this other stuff. And I kept asking him, I mean, really, how much research can I possibly do into this world? And he said that it goes as deep as Louis XIII. And so I'd like to think that a few years later, we have circled back around to this lovely Louis XIII here. Good buddy of mine named Jared. Shout out to Jared. Really appreciate all the guidance that he's given me in the beginning of this journey. And this is definitely a spirit that I'm very excited to get to share with him soon. Now this smells amazing. I will move on to the Richard Hennessy here. Now the Richard Hennessy is about double the price actually. It's about $7,000 MSRP. And this, again, has a super gorgeous bottle shape. I'll show it on your screen again. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. Really, really nice here. But to get a pour of this at a bar, I mean, you're looking at minimum, at a good bar, $500. If you're looking at a standard bar, it's probably over $1,000 for a pour. So not a cheap one to come by at all. This is a bottle from the 1990s. And this, again, is a blend of the same like eau de vie, which is like, again, the really nice fine brandies here. And they actually say that some of Richard Hennessy gets as old as 200 years old. And since this is a bottle from the 1990s, and again, because of the auction sites, it's actually much cheaper than that current modern day MSRP. This would be between $2,000 and $3,000, depending on what you can find. Maybe $4,000, but still significantly cheaper than the modern day stuff, depending on the year and the condition and all that. And that would mean that there's liquor in here that was first distilled in the 18th century. Absolutely insane here. So on the nose, it is a little bit more muted than the Louis. And the Louis comes real punching with all that real rich caramel candy and cherry candy and the figs and dates. This one has a similar flavor profile. It's oakier though. I'm getting actually a much more typical, what I would be reminiscent of like a bourbon oakiness to it, of like a 10, 12-year bourbon, which is why it's going to be fun to compare it to these bourbons here in a sec. Yeah, a lot more oak. Way more oak on it. And the color, I mean, the color's just beautiful, beautiful color. Okay, let's take a sip. Interesting. On the palate, it's also pretty light, like the Louis, where I think this one has almost like a gingerbread note to it, which is good. Has some vanilla on it, which is really pleasant. Okay. It's good, and it has that backdrop of the caramel, it has the cherry, it has all those kinds of notes on it as well. It's good. I have a feeling I'm gonna like at least one of the two bourbons better though. For $7,000, I will say the Louis is a good bit better, at least off that first sip. I think the Louis smells better. And that's what's really making this Louis unique to me. I mean, that smell, I can smell that for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't even care if it like evaporates in my glass. I'll smell the empty glass after that for another half hour. I mean, this is just absolutely delectable nose on this. The Richard Hennessy, it's oakier, but it's not richer. Like, it's just oakier. And there's more spice to it. There's more of like a leather note to it on that nose. I will take another sip here and we'll move on to the bourbons. It's good. It's good. Doesn't blow me away. In a way that the Louis actually kind of does blow me away. Like, the Louis is unique. It's interesting. This is going to get interesting with the ratings because I like to rate all my whiskeys on a scale from 1 to 10, and a lot of good bourbons are going to get somewhere in the 7s or 8s. And I don't know how these cognacs are going to do against these bourbons that, to me, just have more richness to them, more depth to them. And it could just be because these are 80 proof offerings. But let's go on to the Eagle Rare, and let's just see if we think it's better than either of these so far. And we will be coming back to these and give ratings and rankings to everything, but let's see, the Eagle Rare on the nose. Ah, that's good caramel. That is real nice oak. That's vanilla. That's almost like an orange candy on this. That's good. Let's take a sip. Okay. It's really good. For $50, I've long said that Eagle Rare 10 is just like a super, super solid bottle. And I wanted to try this here today because we may be trying something a little bit older and slightly higher proof in a couple days for a review. So yeah, Eagle Rare 10 is fun, it's solid. I don't think it's going to be better than either of these today, but I'm not going to act like the Richard Hennessy is that much better. I mean, I would rate this Eagle Rare a solid 7. I mean, this to me is just like your perfect 7 in the rating system. That is a solid pour of whiskey. That is a good pour of whiskey. There's a certain richness to it. You get a lot of nice flavor notes on it. And actually, I haven't had Eagle Rare in probably almost 2 years at this point. So it's nice to get brought back down a little and try our nice Eagle Rare here. And this is good stuff. I mean, this is real nice. But I think that Richard Hennessy is probably going to end up in the 7s, which is pretty crazy. But let's take another sip of the Eagle Rare and let's move on to the Michter's. Solid, honest 7. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not rough around the edges. There's not some like ethanol heat that's really annoying to it. For $50, that bottle's worth it. For $7,000, this one is not. Okay, opening up on the nose, it's actually got a lot better. Let's go on to the Michter's 10 Bourbon. I think this is the one that might be a lot more interesting. And we could kind of put the Eagle Rare off to the side. That was an experiment. These are both very clearly much better than the Eagle Rare 10. The Eagle Rare 10 is good, but it's not these cognacs. This Michter's 10 Bourbon, though, might compete a little bit more. Tobacco, caramel, candy. Those are the 3 tasting notes that I get off Michter's 10, that I always get off Michter's 10. It's a real nice, rich tobacco. Real nice, rich caramel and cherry and all that stuff. I'll say the tobacco on it, stronger than either of these two. The richness of this. Okay, the nose on the Louis is a different level. On the Richard Hennessy, though, it's better than the Michter's 10. I think the Michter's 10, it's almost getting a little bit more orange and a little bit more tobacco on it, which is good if you prefer those 2 notes in particular, but no, the Richard Hennessy is better. Let's take a sip. Okay, that's good. It's really good. It's on a totally different level for me than the Eagle Rare 10. That is much closer to what I'd rate like an 8, a 7.8, that kind of stuff, like high 7s, maybe bottom at the 8. Like that's very good. But it's an interesting comparison because you know what? I think trying the Louis on its own, I thought it may not do that well, but I think comparing it against bourbons that clearly are very lacking in comparison to these definitely opened my eyes a little bit. All right, the Cognacs are doing well here. I thought they might actually lose. They're not going to lose. But the Louis is just better than this Richard Hennessy here. Let's finish off this Richard Hennessy. I mean, compared to the Michter's 10, I think, honestly, in comparison, that nose is a bit more ethanol heavy. It's a bit lighter. It's, honestly, in comparison, surprisingly worse than what I thought coming into this. But this Richard Hennessy is still so much worse than the Louis. That Louis is different. Let's take a sip of this Richard Hennessy. Really rich. Really coats the palate. It has the spice on it. It still has that kind of gingerbread note going on. It has the vanilla. It has the oak. It has the leather. It has some of that fruity note. It has a little bit of fig and date. Not much. It doesn't really give you any brighter fruit on it. Like, that is a rich, deep pour. It's really good. But would I pay $500 for this at a bar? No. Would I pay $200 at a bar? Probably not. Would I pay like $50 once to try it? Yeah. But I don't really think it's actually all that good. It's better than the Michter's 10, but it's not much better. I mean, this Michter's 10 here, for 1/20th the price, it's just as rich on the palate. I mean, that Richard Hennessy is slightly better, but let's go back to this Michter's 10 here. Yeah, I mean, in comparison, that Michter's 10 is an 8.0. That Richard Hennessy is an 8.2. Like, it's a little bit better. It's really good. I mean, like, if it was $100, I mean, I'd buy the heck out of it. But it's not. It's $7,000. So I'm out on Richard Hennessy. But let's see how well the Louis can do. And that Louis, man. And I love the bottle. I mean, that bottle is a centerpiece in a really fine bar. If you see Louis, you know it's a serious bar. Like, they're going to have a nice whiskey selection, a nice cognac selection. They're going to treat you good. This smells awesome. Let's take our final sip here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. So it has that cherry candy on it. It has the caramel on it. It gets into that real rich fig and date and kind of leather spice to it. It has some oak backbone to it. It's light. And what really impressed me on the nose alone, I mean, that nose seriously is a 9.5. It might be one of the best, possibly the best thing I've ever smelled. I mean, that nose is ridiculous. And I will say, as I took a bigger sip there, I think when I've tried this a few times, I took smaller sips. I played it a little bit safer. But on that last time, when I took really about a full quarter ounce of a sip there, maybe even a little bit more, it really filled the mouth, filled the palate a lot more. That's an amazing spirit. It is not a $4,000 spirit. It is not a $2,000 spirit. It's not a $1,000 spirit, but it's really, really good. And for the novelty of it, I'm glad I have the one bottle. I don't know if I'll buy another once it's gone. We'll see. I would go ahead and rate that Louis an 8.6. I think it's delicious. I think I feel much more positively about it. It's not anywhere worth $4,000 or $2,000. It's not. But it did beat these bourbons. It did pretty handily beat these bourbons. I mean, it's really night and day between this and the Michter's 10 bourbon, which is a whiskey that I would typically consider to be very solid. But you could see on the bourbons here, there's more tobacco. There is a richness to it that you're not getting off of these because of the extra proof. But just the decadence, the elegance of these cognacs. I'm really glad I got to try this here with you guys today. I mean, really thank you so much to Nax. Now, Nax and his wife Mel do run Liquid Ministry here. They make these really cool sample jars, and I'm a big fan of their work. As somebody that owns about 1,000 samples, I can tell you, I'm a big fan of what they do, and they are really into these older cognacs, and so they've really advised me, help me get this bottle, and really help me try all these different things. So thank you so much to them. I could not have done this review without them, but I can say I don't know if I'll be trying too much of this fine cognac in the future, but if I do, Louis is my preference. I really like that Louis. I think the Richard Hennessy here, it's deeper, it has a nice oak richness to it, but that last extra drop here, I mean, that's $50 right there. We got to get that in. It's good. It's not as good as the Louis though, but I hope you all enjoyed the review. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.